What's up, guys? Shockwave640 here, and today we are taking a look at the Transformers Age of Extinction Voyager class GRIMLOCK. And here, of course, is the Dinobot leader. Now let's just get in here and do these size comparisons. So there we have GRIMLOCK in his dinosaur mode, of course. So let me just bring in a few other dinosaurs and or dragons. So first we have Ripclaw, whom I definitely never got her name wrong before. Cough cough. Here we have a fellow Dinobot, which is Scorn, of course, from Age of Extinction. Here we have the Age of Extinction, I think his name is Slag. I can't really remember if it was Slag, Slog, or Slug. I'm just going to call him Slag. So there is that. And here is Energon Grimlock. Both of these are Toys R Us exclusives. These two actually came packaged together. It was like a generation thing, where it had this Grimlock and then it had this Grimlock, and then I figured out that's why my Grimlock has a little bit different colors. This is because it's a Toys R Us exclusive. So there is that. Oops, broke the camera. So let's get in here and take a close look at the details of Grimlock. Very cool. The only thing I say is a nitpick, especially on camera, is this orange and this orange are completely different, but it does kind of look cool though. At least it's kind of continued all throughout the body. But looking at the head sculpt, which is very nice, you have some black paint there. See a gear in his nostrils, which is present in the movie. Very, very nice metallic green in the eye there. And some bronze and some black. The teeth aren't painted, sadly, but oh well. Inside the mouth, here, it's more black. You got the head, which is just kind of sitting right there as a little spike. Actually, now that I think about it, the head is supposed to be rotated. Yeah, the head is supposed to be facing up like this so that the spike can fit in there like that. I just had it a little bit mistransformed. That's how it's supposed to be, with the spike sticking straight out like that. So that way it kind of blends in with the black there a little bit more. You got some silver Autobot logo. This is, of course, his chest. A little bit of orange right here. Some gray. Nice. You got some nice spikes. Of course, you can't see his feet are just kind of sticking out back here. I mean, he's got a really dimpy tail. And you come and look at his arms. You got little spikes there. He has little toes here. It's more of that black and orange color. Come here, he's got his little T-Rex arms. He's got his rib cage. And looking at the bottom, can't really see much robot except for clearly you can make out his legs. And then, I mean, his chest right here. And then, of course, you can see the back of his head. But now that doesn't really look much like his head is actually sitting there. I mean, you can kind of angle this around so you can see whoever you'd like the spike to be, either up high or down low. I usually like to keep it down low, but the official transformations would be up high. But that's pretty much it. And then you also have a little Autobot logo. Now, I don't know what the differences are between this version and the official version. As far as I know, the only difference is I think this one has a little bit more paint-wise, like in terms of the black and the body. The head might be a little bit different in terms of paint, and I know these arms on the normal version are actually this color rather than being black, which I much prefer them in black. It looks a lot better in my opinion. Other than that, I don't really know what the differences are. But he does include a weapon, of course, which is his mace, which comes in two pieces. You have this piece, which has it's a circle tab or a circle peg with a little piece cut off. That just fits into this little notch. Make sure it's facing the right way. And there you have his mace. And if you look closely, you can see there's these two grooves cut out. And there's these two little sections here sticking out the sides of the feet. And if you kind of put that in there, you want to make sure you go in and then slide it down and grab back here at the heels and push till you hear it click, like so. That way you have it on. And that's the weapon storage for dinosaur mode. Usually whenever I do this, I like to pull that off because I think this looks okay. Probably would have looked a lot better if it was in this color or just straight up gray. But there you go. Can't really do much with this. It just kind of sits there unless you want to keep it on, but then it makes his tail ridiculously long. So I usually don't. So trying to get this thing back off is very tough, especially because you don't want to grab on these because these spikes can poke you pretty hard if you try to grab onto them with a lot of force. There we go. So just taking a quick look at his mace here. Very cool. Doesn't really look quite like the one in the movie did, because the one in the movie had a lot more spikes than this one, but Still very cool. I do quite like it. Very nice looking mace. So now let's get to the articulation in this mode. Of course, you can press this button and open and close his mouth. As with every single beast former that does this, I hate it whenever they have it so that the mouth is stuck in the open position. I wish they would have made it to where it was stuck closed and you press the button and the mouth opened it instead, but I don't exactly, yeah, you can't really do it because this is spring loaded to stay open, so I think it would have been a lot better. I mean, if it just looked standard with its mouth closed, but oh well. You can technically make him look up, but then it starts to look really, really weird. I mean, almost foot-like, if you ask me. So, and then he can glow. Oh man, so funny, started making me cough. He can open and close his mouth and be like, "Hi guys, I'm GRIMLOCK." I mean, you can do that if you wanted to. You can move his little ears around if you want to, or his horns is what they really are. His legs can go out very far, and then go in. They can do a full 360. You have a swivel here, you have a bend here, and you can move the little toe. These little arms are on a ball joint. Also, on mine, I can't get these rib cages to stay tabbed in. Every single time I touch them, they come undone. Very annoying, but oh well. But yeah, the little arms are on a ball joint, and that's pretty much it for articulation. Not very much of it, but then again, which GRIMLOCK has had a lot of articulation in the dinosaur mode, besides masterpieces, of course. But very cool. So let's get down to the transformation, which is actually extremely simple. What you want to do first is just bring these legs up to get them out of the way, so that way you have a flying T-Rex. That's something I probably cannot unsee, but you're just going to bring these legs down, like so. They just tab in, using these tabs on the knees, and go, oops, broke the camera, and go into these little slots right there. And then they also peg together using that post and going into that port. Just going to bring the legs down like so. You're going to bring this section up like that. I'm going to bring the dinosaur head up and detach it. It just pegs in right there. You're going to detach that head. Kind of just start fiddling with stuff a little bit. Oh yeah, untab the rib cages. They just tab in right there. Bring them on this double hinge and re-tab them with the same tab and go into that port right on the front of his leg, making his samurai skirts. And then move these dinosaur legs down just so we can get them out of the way for a second. Come in here, flip up his feet. Just kind of get him standing a little bit, so that way he's standing when you're ready. Bring this section down. If I don't pull that off, it will tab. I can get this back on. Get back on. There we go. It'll tab in there and that spot right there. So just bring that down, tab that into place. I like to bring this up and make sure that these legs are in a certain position. Bring these dinosaur arms up and kind of wrap them around his body like that. And then I just like to bring the front skirt there just a little bit. Let's deal with the arms before we deal with the backpack. Just gonna bring the arms down. Gonna come in here, untab that. That just goes right into that slot. Going to bring that down, bring that up, rotate it, and then this tab will go into that spot now. So that way you have his fist revealed. And then just come in here and put the fist however you wish. Come in here, bring the arm around, rotate it so the elbow is facing inwards, untab that, fold that down, rotate him at the wrist, and bring that back up, tabbing it into place, like so. Bring his head up, rotate it, so that way you have his face looking forward. You're going to come in here, untab, or separate the T-Rex head. Just pegs in these two posts into those two slots, which you can see some stress marks forming on one of them. But some very nice details actually inside of the actual dinosaur head, which is pretty cool. Now this part's kind of tricky. Because you have the head like this, you're going to split it just so that there's enough of a gap for this armature to go through. So it helps if you bring these all the way up. Bring that through, just like so. And then these tabs here on the neck are going to go into those tabs right there into the back of the shoulders, locking that into place. And then there's I'll show you a number of things you can do with this big butt flap right here. But then basically what you're going to do is just bring this up against his back of his head and then bring it down. And then there you have his little dinosaur butt flap. Which I will show you something to actually fix that in just a second. So let me get everything situated. You're just going to bring the shoulder pads down to your liking. Like so. Make sure those ears are up. Make sure he's standing. Like so. And there we have Grimlock and his robot mode. So let's take a quick look at some size comparisons. Of course, here we have Rip Claw. Here we have Energon Grimlock. So there they are together, the Toys R Us exclusive set of them two. Here we have what's his name? I forgot his name. Scorn. That's what it was. I almost said Scourge for some reason. And here we have Slag. I think it's Slag. I can't remember what his name is. Don't quote me on what his name is. I get confused with the Dinobot names except for Swoop and Grimlock. That's pretty much it. I can't remember the other names very, very well. They all have pretty similar names to me anyways. But let's get in here and take a look at the details. So his head sculpt, kind of hard to tell what's going on here, but you can barely make out. He's got blue eyes, black face plate, the black horn, silver, some gray, and some orange. Very cool looking head. I do quite like it. I do quite like it a lot. Of course, the same details as the head carried on to the shoulder pads. Moving on along, you can see his black fists. Now you can see the faux bottom jaws here on his chest there, which kind of don't make any sense because this is a lot smaller than that, but oh well. Autobot symbol, some silver. He got his crotch flap. He's got his side skirts. Got some bronze there, and some nice spiky shoes and spiky spikes all over the spike. So very cool. Articulation. Excuse me. His head can look down. His head can not really look up. It can do a full 360 by rotating it, but I do believe it gets caught on things, so I'm not going to try it. The shoulder pads can move up to accommodate movement. Arms will go that far high before you start untabbing things. You can rotate them at the bicep here. You do have an elbow, but of course it's one of those inward monkey elbows, which there's another fix for that. You could just untab this, rotate it to the back, bring it up. It won't tab into place, keep in mind. Well, no, bring it up like this, bring it to the side. Keep in mind it won't tab into place, but now you have an actual proper elbow, which is very cool. So you can do that if you want to. I usually have them with the monkey arms just because it helps them with poses a little bit better. If you flip this front skirt up, which goes about that high before it pops off, legs can go about that far forward, about that far backward. You can bend at the knee, a little bit less than 90, and his feet can go up, or they can go down, and then they click upwards. And also you can break his knee forward for some reason if you want to do that, if that interests you in any way. And now he's all kinds of wonky. This figure's a little bit on the fiddly side, I have to say, just because the nature of him is just a little bit on the fiddly side. Kind of sucks, but oh well. Trying to get him situated. It's because he's got a lot of dinosaur junk everywhere. I mean, like these heads, or this head assembly here likes to get in the way. His chest likes to come undone, which brings his arms up, and then these things don't really want to stay in place, and then got these little dinosaur arms. Just everything just kind of seems a little bit too fiddly. But, oh well, what are you going to do? Now, another thing I did figure out is if you don't like this big butt flap kind of hanging here off of him, you can bring this up. You can actually bring this up if you don't untab everything. If you bring this up like that, you can actually bring this up against the back. And then you can bring this section down into the stomach, but granted you have this piece of junk hanging here off of his back, but you can kind of bring that back and bring this to kind of lay flush a little bit more, so that way you can't see it, but then he's got a lot of stuff sticking out of his back directly, so it really just depends on what you want. But now he doesn't have the big old flap on his back, but then it makes his body look really, really short, so I usually just keep it down to be like a back skirt. And also, this body doesn't tab in well at all on mine. It's kind of annoying. But I usually just kind of keep it how it's supposed to be, like this. Also, another thing I want to mention is he looks very, very thin from the side. I mean, this guy he's a cool figure. He looks cool. Doesn't exactly really represent the character from the movie very well. I mean, I don't remember the character from the movie having arms that look like this or really anything. I don't really see any cues from the movie except for the spikes on his legs, maybe the overall bulkiness, and then the shoulder pads and the head and the chest. Other than that, I don't really know. And I think he might have had the spikes on his legs, but then again, no idea. Of course, he can't hold his weapon. He just hangs onto the handle right here, and then you can just kind of have him holding that. He's doing whatever. He's kind of standing there. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention for articulation. He also has this hinge here, which is his ankle joint, so you can actually get some really cool poses out of this guy. Sort of. He doesn't exactly hold his balance very well, so I'm not going to try it. But so there is that joint there if you wish to use it, and this guy is being really, really fiddly, and it's kind of irritating. I don't really much care for this figure. I kind of hate it. Okay. Let's kind of bring that down. Everything is so freaking fiddly on this piece of junk. So, to be completely honest, this is definitely not one of my favorite Grimlock toys. Definitely, he's one of my favorite Grimlock characters. Grimlock toys, not even close. I'm going to have to say either the Masterpiece Grimlock, because I've seen videos, it looks amazing, or even the G1 Grimlock is better than this piece of junk, but oh well. The character's cool. I do like the way it looks. It looks very cool sitting on that shelf, but as an actual toy for a kid to buy, I can see a lot of frustration. I don't really see a kid having a lot of fun with this thing, just because how irritating it is to deal with it during transformation and just overall posing it and playing with it. I mean, you can see where these things here, they're so loose on his arms, they're just going to be flopping in the way if a kid is trying to play. Unlike, you've got Scorn here, and he's pretty solid, and the other guy, Slag, he's pretty solid too. He's just kind of sharp. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say about our friend Grimlock here. A decent figure. He looks cool on a shelf. That's really all I have props for him, is just his looks. Playability has pretty lame features if you think about it, like the chomping mouth and his kind of boring looking mace. That's pretty much it. But that's pretty much it, guys. Well, I am Shockwave640, and I'll have to see you later, guys. Peace.